Good evening. This is Lisa McNett in The Anatomy of the Horse. I usually could talk a lot about myself, but I'm going to get right into the lesson because you don't really need to know that much about me other than I had many opportunities to be around Olympic riders and horses. I sculpted Debbie McDonald's horse. Anyway, I'm going to get right into the anatomy. So what we usually do is we have to know the number of bones, like there are 7 vertebrae. I've got a couple of references. I went on the internet and I pulled down this picture, which is layman terms, and then I have this one I drew, which I got from this book, The Anatomy of Animals. So the first part of it was to understand the connection between the skull and the atlas, or what layman people call the pole. So you can see there's 7 vertebrae, and then we're going to just deal with the first, which was the atlas junction right here, and the atlas bone itself, and you can see how larger they are. This is where the muscles, you see here the large muscles here, and they pretty much hold the head up and balance the horse. So these are the muscles too. You can see the longissimus capitis that attaches here to the atlas. And so, knowing that there are 3 levels of muscles, we can draw the skull. Again, I will put these books on the list of things to look at if you'd like to do them at home, or you can just watch the video and do them alongside me. But the first thing I did was I drew out all of these on my sketchbook just to get familiar with them, and then I hand wrote them, in the layman's terms. The atlas is the pole, and then we have the crest that comes all the way to the neck. But anyway, I'm going to go down through this, and the segments of learning the anatomy, I'm going to break it down so that you can see the neck in action, okay? So now I'm going to show you a video of the horse in action, which I think is going to be Charlotte Dujardin at the Olympics with her horse. What was her horse's name? The Olympic gold medalist. So I'm going to go ahead and put her in action so you can watch the horse's neck in action. Here you see it is in collection, and all of the muscles are very well defined. I pick a horse that is the best horse in the world so that you can have the best drawing in the world. So I'm going to start the video and let you see. And you can go online and watch these. If you watch the horse in action, it's really good. And you'll see all the balance is right here through the body. But if the horse's head is not in the right position, it's okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is the highest point of the head is the atlas bone, and it bends maybe 45 degrees, and then that's enough. You want to have the horse's head flat to get perfect carriage. And these videos are going to talk about the anatomy, but then I really want you to look at the physical attributes and how the range of motion is on a horse. I'm going to skip to some of these different areas so we can see the horse at the side. See now we've got a good example. The horse's axis is right here, and and the bones are down here. Of course, there's 7 of them in the head, and the high point is always right here at the axis. The atlas is at the top, the axis is right here, so it bends at the axis, and the atlas stays in place solid. And it's really the same on you. If you feel the back of your neck, you're going to feel there's only movement in the second vertebrae that connects to the atlas. And you can go rotate a little bit right to left, but the way that the bone structure is, the range of motion is mostly a 45-degree. If you put a triangle between the pole and the axis, that is the range of motion. It's about 45 degrees. So let's watch him, and you notice that if the neck is not here in this position, the rest of the body isn't balanced. So the horse really pulls himself around by, if he's not looking in the way he's going, he's not going to be going in that direction. So it's critical that the horse's axis is in the place where he can balance the entire body, and especially with a rider, because if you look on the skeleton, the range of motion for the horse is pretty solid, stiff in this area, other than the shoulder. And our shoulder blade and this, the scapula is basically the same as ours, but it connects right at the top. There's not any movement here other than it stretches muscle. And this is all hanging on the balance of this atlas and axis. So these all connect. I mean, the horse really holds himself up through the neck. If the neck is down, everything still is supported by this area in here. So the center of gravity on a horse, ours is from the pole to the heel of our feet. On a horse, it runs right straight through down to the leg, right in this area. So if you see the horse is balanced and the rider is right on that axis point, so here's the center of gravity. If you didn't know that, as the rider moves forward, the horse goes faster and the center of gravity moves this way. So anyway, I'll let her ride a little longer. You can see the movement. Okay, let's just go here and find her where she's not talking. Alright, I'm going to show you this movement. You see now on this horse, he has his neck slightly leaning in, which lets him go to the left. And of course, now he's still balanced. The high point is still the atlas, and the axis still at 45. If you put a triangle between the two poles and the top part of the axis bone, and you see he's leaning in and he's driving himself this way. So all of this is about balance, and now the center of gravity is this way as my pencil goes this way, and and he moves in the direction to the left. So you see he's got everything lined up just perfectly. This left and the right leg are evenly shouldered to the haunch bone. So if the horse is going to go in a direction, he has to pretty much look in that direction, and you see now the movement and the axis is this way. So this book is going to be a little different than most people. As artists, we consider the motion, the weight, and if you wanted to animate this, you could easily, frame by frame, watch this horse move from right to left, and I'm going to let him show you that. And you see what happens. The horse's shoulder in the front, which is basically the same as your shoulder, is right here. They're even and straight. They're lined up like a box from shoulder to hip. And all that's moving, the head is tilted to the left just a tiny bit over that, making the center of gravity pushing to the left. And so the horse picks up his leg and puts it down, picks up his leg and puts it down, and watch this. He does that, just like I said. He pushes it. Whoops. Okay, I probably should have got one where she wasn't commentating, but it's fine because if you listen to her, she talks about the score, and what she means by the score is they give you points for your exactness on straightness, and in this movement, it's half pass to the left, it's in a working trot, and it's half pass to the left. So what that means is, as she comes across the center of the ring, the horse is straight, and it's a military movement where he can move to the left and the right just based on a slight angle of the neck. So, in military procedures, accuracy is really important. So let's just watch her again, and you'll see nothing moves but that slight bend of the neck, and then the legs move out from under on the center of gravity. And now she stops. Okay, let's go to the next movement. We could probably just do this by movement. Alright, so now, same flat plane of the head. If the horse's head is on the line of the center point here of the neck, and you see he's very well balanced. If he goes above, in front of the line, this axis line here, or behind it, he gets unbalanced. So it's really perfect. That's why I picked this gold medalist. She's really perfect. And you couldn't get better anatomy shots than at a perfected Olympic event. We can do jumping next, but I'm going to start with dressage because it's slower and easier to talk about. You may not like dressage, you may be a cowboy, and we'll talk about those later, but it's about balance, and it's center riding. This is called centered riding. And if you see the top of her head to the bottom of her feet, there's a straight line. Her hip is right in line with that. Her elbows are straight to the mouth, and her spinal column is on the center of gravity. So you are weightless when you're sitting there. If you're behind with your cowboy boots out in front, you have to consider that you're off center and you're putting pressure on the back of the horse. Or if you're forward, you need to be going faster because the center of gravity is forward. So let's just continue, and I'll show you how the legs and the spine. The spine is pretty rigid, but there is a little bit of movement between the lumbar spine and we have 7 or 8 ribs if you count. Well, there's total 17 to 18 ribs, depending on the breed. The Arabian has 17. This is a Dutch warm blood, so he's probably got 12th century breeding in him. So they wanted to have a horse that could do everything: pull a wagon and a cannon, or plow the field. So these horses are considered versatile in any kind of situation. Going to war, whatever. They let you breed to their king's horses so that they would keep a good steady army full of great horses. But anyway, bottom line is, conformation wise, this is a perfect horse, really almost perfect. And range of motion, you can see his range of motion is bigger than most. He has at the working trot, that's not even as far as he can go, but he can stretch his leg out all the way in front of his nose, and he can pull it back and stretch it out all the way to the center of gravity. So that he's more on the forehand in some ways, but balanced lightly in the back for quick change of direction. If he were going to be doing change of direction, the weight would shift to the back. So keeping in mind, when you do draw the horse at speeds, his center of gravity is going to change, and the range of motion is dependent on the breed. And this one is a highly gymnasticized specimen. So his shoulder, okay, if you look at his shoulder, it's really stretching on the movement, but collected. So let's look at him in motion now. It helps to watch. See, and he basically had no problem taking a left turn there, and he's still balanced. He just floated into that curve. You couldn't quite see it because of the flowers. Let me go back and show you that one more time. See, watch. He just flips his haunches, and now he's coming down the center across the arena, and you still can see how balanced he is. Head slightly cocked to the right, so we can anticipate something happening or change of direction. Yep, and there it is. That's the change of direction. Now he's doing half pass to the right. So he changed direction, and now he's literally showing us by his left eye facing out a little more, and he's cocked his head a little bit to the right, but he's still center on line. And all has to happen now, or the legs come under him in the hind, and he stretches out with the fore. So watch. Isn't that gorgeous? Just floats. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for showing the range of motion and all of the extreme movement. Isn't that gorgeous? And I want to point out too how perfectly straight that horse was. See how perfectly straight he was, even though he was moving to the right. His spine was just drifting straight in a line this way. And that probably got him the highest score, just because she really knows how to ride. I'm going to take a break right here when she comes to the next movement.
So obviously I'm now just like repeating what I've done on one rein, I'm doing on the other. I go back into the trot half, keeping.
Wow, that was fast. That was very efficient.
The same rhythm. Thinking I'm nearly halfway through.
Okay, so you saw what happened. She went into what they call the passage, which is really in place, trot in place. And ideally, you can see, it doesn't have to be that his foot is any higher than his ankle. That's really a soft, gentle trot in place. And she's still on center of gravity, and yet now, in order to support the weight of that horse, these legs have to go almost like he's on a ball, balancing on a ball. So there's like a dinner plate size space where he's going to be turning around on, which causes him to put his legs in the center more when he balances. So he's scrunching up, the haunches are bending down a little bit. So pretend you are the horse and you're trying to do this movement. What you'll be doing is you'll be sucking up your rib cage, and then you will be using more of the weight on the haunch. See how much is weighted right here? So it's really incredible to see that practically all the weight of the horse is on this hind leg pressing down against this hoof right here. And so he's also turned slightly to the right. So he's going to be doing a pirouette in half pass to the right.
This was the last of my competition, so I'd already done 2 other tests.
Okay, now she went right into the extreme extension at the trot. And you'll see it's pretty much balanced between both legs. The extension on the horse's leg shows you the range of motion all the way past the flat area of the head. And what this does is it gives the rider a very soft, fast trot. So if he was trying to get somewhere quickly in a war zone, that would be one of the gates that would allow the horse to have a lot of basically passing the ground faster, and hopefully not killing the rider in the balance. But you see her heels are completely down, which causes all the weight to go out of her heel, and her hands are forward, giving her a balance to ride center of gravity here, and it's still straight up and down. even though he's going fast. If she were to lean forward, she would have to do some posting because it would be way too bouncy. But she's leaning back in the area of the behind the withers, which is this area here, and the center of gravity remains back here. So as the horse moves forward, you can see there's a floating and actually only 2 feet on the ground at any given time, because this is extreme dressage. I mean, this is one of the best examples you'll ever see of an extended trot.
Before this one. But us being at the Olympics, we were there for 10 days, so Allegra actually felt quite tired going into this test, which normally, he's not, but we don't normally do 10 days basically. We normally show the most probably 5.
Okay, now she's doing a working walk, which is still collected, and the horse should be moving off the shoulder, and the weight is still in the center.
5 days.
You see he kind of pushes that out a little bit, that right leg, because she's actually squeezing him to extend it a little more. So you'll see, when a horse is exaggerating the movement, it's usually because the rider's asking for it. But, he's still showing range of motion in the walk. So straight on, you can see the legs are right behind each other. Depending on how many, he might have some, over the course of, this horse is like 12, and over the course of the 12 years of training, he may have buckled a little bit or got a little bow-legged. We all get a little bow-legged at times after working hard on a sport. She might even be bow-legged, who knows.
Hard. I'm just feeling a little bit tired. So I'm just trying to give him really a nice ride, try and keep him confident, and just do the best we could.
Okay, now she's gearing up. Now watch. See what happens? The tail goes up and the haunches go down and the head pops up a little. She's going to be asking for something in transition to something. So she's what they call half halt, which is she's pushing the horse through the pelvis area, pushing him forward into the bit. So there's this round motion of the head and neck, and you can see he's starting to react by thinking, okay, we're doing something, and his lips are twitching, and his tail is up, his haunches are now at an angle, he's ready to pull himself under. So she's going to transition into another gait. We'll guess what it is. I'm guessing canter, but let's see. Canter. Alright, that was canter, and what she's done is actually put him on the inside lead, which is this shoulder. You'll watch at the finish of each gait, the shoulder will end up out in front. So you'll see there. Now, oops, I gotta pause it. Okay, so it's out in front. When he's on the forehand, this shoulder, left one, is on the left lead. If it was the opposite, it would be the right lead. But since she's going on the right track, or I mean on the left track, she'll be on the left lead. If she's going on the right track, it'll be on the right lead. And the reason why is that the horse's center of balance, because he has 2 sets of legs, he has to be weighted on 2 sets of legs at either given time. So you can see here now, the left leg is down, the left hind is down, the right front is up, the hind right is up. So he basically, has to use these in pairs. So unless there's an oddity or a change of what you call a transition, a change of gait, and we'll get into this later because she'll be doing tempi changes, and that'll show you how the horse switches easily from right to left and supports the body on the left. But anyway, this is in any kind of riding. The horse has to be able to use the inside legs for the optimum balance. And here he is. He's going to be doing another transition in canter. And now, look, see, now she goes clearly into the corner, which is one of the hardest things to get a horse to do. but she did it really well. I mean, it was almost just a bit of the cutoff right there, but she does a really nice job. And look how balanced she is. Her shoulders are back. The only thing I would see, she needs to be looking up a little more, because what happens is that the axis of her own axis presses down on the seat bone. Well, she may be doing it on purpose because she's asking for collection. So a tight collection pressing down on your seat bones to the horse pushes into the bridle, getting the horse collected. And that's how you collect a horse. You use your spine and your upper leg, and then, you know, that squeezes the horse forward into the bit gently. You know, she doesn't have to have a twisted wire snaffle or a big spade to get this horse to be lightly on the bit. All she needs to know how to do is handle her body correctly. And there she did a nice sharp turn, and you see he's still leaning in, and he's rotating on this inside hind to make this corner nice and crisp. And they're coming down center line, so the judge is here and the judge is right across on this line here, so she has to get this horse as quickly as possible on the center line. So let's see how she does. Perfect. Going to another movement to the left, which is half pass to the left. And we saw that to the right again. Now she switches leads and she comes to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now she goes straight and then switches right, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she's back at. I didn't see her mistake, but I don't know what she said about making a mistake. Let me go back and see what I missed. Oh, okay. What she did was she was supposed to go straight one stride and then turn to change, but the horse changed before the straight. So that's what you have to watch when you're looking at Olympic riders, is that before the movement changes, they go straight and then change direction. So here she comes. Right now he changes right there instead of stopping and going straight. So if she made a mistake, she gets to try it again, which is nice in dressage. They don't get too uptight about it. Okay, now this is really important. This is where the turn on the haunches shows all the absolute high-level control that a horse could possibly get, and that is turning on the haunches. And you see the weight, and the pelvis is tilted down so that the weight comes under the horse, almost to center of the rib cage. This prevents the horse from falling, of course. Getting the legs under you is going to give a nice push off to go left or right. So the athleticism of the horse depends on this movement, really, because that's the highest form of collection. And basically, she's got this horse trained so that weight, in wherever she puts her weight, is going to move away from pressure. So you see her right leg here is up high. She's pushing against the rib cage. She's going to go in the direction of the left. And the horse's left hind is holding all the pressure right now. And what will happen is the forelegs will come in 6 movement jumps or strides to the left, and then I think she'll repeat it again. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and oh, she's going to repeat it. 1, 2, and straight. Okay. That was her pirouette she did. Now she's going to go her attempted changes. Now, when I was talking about change of direction, this horse has been trained to use the leg so that he can change directions every second or every stride. So watch him as he does the change in the hind first. Right now you can see both hind legs are up and nothing supporting him but this one foot right here. And he will then now switch direction of legs. You see 1, 2, 1, 2, well. So when she moves her legs, it basically is a brush back to front, and the pressure on the right is going to move the left leg into left, you know, lead, and then she'll switch her legs and it'll go right leg, and it'll be count. This is every two, right? She's in 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then later she'll go
Then I do
her
obviously
pirouette.
straight after my change, I go into another pirouette. So that's actually quite a hard movement to
Yeah,
do.
that was really neat the way she did that. It made it effortless. But anyway, that's what you want to look for when you're looking for animals to draw and paint. Look for the very best, and look for the absolute perfection in writing, and then you will never be criticized.